round 5 is where we should start to see a little bit of separation in the URC table. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. Okay, so yeah, round 5, as I said, we should start to see a little bit of kind of daylight between some groups of teams in the table after this, especially the teams who are in form keep winning as well. We're going to see probably a group kind of towards the end who are being cut away a little bit, and definitely need to find something new to get their season back on track. And then we're going to see, I think, a group of teams as well that have established themselves as some of the favourites, early favourites at least, for the title this season. But we're going to go down through each of the games and just the usual thing, right? Talk a little bit about form, etc. So I'm going to start with the Friday night games. First up, Friday, October 18th, 7:35 kickoff. All times are like Irish or UK time. So adjust that to your own local time. So we have Ulster versus Ospreys. It's at the Kingspan Stadium. This is 8th versus 13th. And, looking at kind of the start of the season, both of them have had. So Ulster had the opening win against Glasgow. And then they had the win as well against Connacht last time out. And that sandwiches 2 defeats on their tour down in South Africa. So they're going to, pretty sure they're going to be without Ian Henderson now, who failed an HIA, and he's pretty sure he's failed his return to play protocol thing as well. So he's going to be out. It was kind of strange in that game. I didn't mention it in my commentary. Probably should have. But there was a tackle from Heffernan on him, and he had to go off for an HIA. But there was no kind of review of the actual tackle itself, which in this day and age is kind of strange. Pretty much any time you see a player gone off for an HIA, the TMO is looking to see what happened. Why is that player gone off? Is there something that we need to look at? But it didn't happen in that one. And I think like Soper, one of the coaches at Ulster, wasn't too happy about that either. So definitely. Coupled with the fact that there's a lot of backlash from the the unions and especially the French union about the new trial of the 20-minute red card. I think it all plays into player welfare. So definitely something that has to be fixed there. But Ospreys then, Ulster 2 from 4. Ospreys just 1 from 4. They had that win against the Stormers, who we've seen now have actually had a very poor start to the season. And, they have had some close games, though, the Ospreys, they went, Dragons, I think, in the opening game, right? They were close in that one, and then against Connacht as well. And, so they're not that far off. It's just that it doesn't feel like they are the team anywhere near the team last season, and the fact that they lost by 10 points against the Bulls as well last time out, not boding too well for them. So in this one, I'm going to go for an Ulster victory. Next then, same time on Friday night, 7:35 kickoff, is Scarlets versus Bulls. So this is 10th versus 4th. It's at Parky Scarlets. So kind of fairly contrasting starts to the season for these two. Scarlets, they did get a decent draw away from home against Benetton to start off, and then 2 defeats on the bounce, and then they come back with a bit of a surprise win, honestly, against Cardiff. Given that like how well Cardiff seemed to have started the season, but really good win for the Scarlets in that one. But then the Bulls have just been in brilliant form. 2 really good home wins, followed up by that win away to Ospreys then as well in the last round. So they're 3 from 3, whereas the Scarlets have the 1 win, the draw, and 2 losses. So, in this one, looking at the form book, you've got to say the Bulls are definitely the favourites. Even though Scarlets did get that win away from home last time out, I think, probably got to back the Bulls in this one, just in irresistible form. At the minute, it would be, at the moment, given where Scarlets were last year and kind of, the mixed form they've had this year, although, again, I think the performance has been a lot better than last year, it would be a big scalp still for them to take the Bulls, I think, in this one. So I'm going to go for a Bulls win, but, if the Scarlets do manage to win, maybe I'll get to wear my new jersey again. Also, I mentioned it as well, I got a second one, so it's still up for grabs. If somebody wants it, just let me know. Also, just talking about jerseys, I'm trying my best to get a Bulls jersey, and I can't get one anywhere. I can find them on sale online, but when I try and actually, put in the fact that I want to deliver to Ireland, then it's just no go. There's not even an option to pay extra to have it delivered or anything like that. So a bit disappointing there. I even actually reached out to the Bulls to see if they could tell me if is there somewhere I can buy it, that either delivers to Europe or from Europe, that I'd be able to get it, but didn't get any answer there, unfortunately. So if anybody, I know there are some South Africans who watch the channel. If you know of somewhere where I can actually get a Bulls jersey delivered to Ireland, I'd be very much grateful to you if you'd let me know that. But for now, my plan of getting a Bulls jersey for Christmas has kind of gone out the window, and I'm actually going to get a different jersey that I'm looking, another nice jersey as well that I'm looking forward to get. But yeah, in this one, going for a Bulls win. So those are Friday games. Now on to the Saturday games. So first up, have Zebre Parma versus the Emirates Lions, and this is at the Stadio Sergio Lanfranchi, and it's 15th versus 3rd. This one is a 12:30 kickoff on Saturday, October 19th. So early morning one in that one. I won't get to watch this one because I've got plans with some friends. So I probably won't get to watch any games until kind of the 5 o'clock kickoff. But kind of an interesting one here because Zebre, we've seen now, they've shown in the last few seasons, especially this season, they're absolutely on it at home. They're very competitive at home. Lions, though, have taken a step forward compared to anything we've seen from them in the URC so far. They've gone, we'll talk about form in a second, but they've had a great start to the season. Let's actually touch the form now because, I want to start with the home team anyway. So Zebre, 1 win out of 4, but that 1 win was against Munster, and it was a really good win, especially the fact that they went ahead, but then Munster came back and took the lead at half time. So it wasn't like it was just completely out of nowhere, that Munster got kind of blindsided. Munster got the warning the first half, they rectified things, and then they still lost in that second half. So fair play to Zebre, and they've been very competitive in all of the games. I've seen them this year as well, not always on the scoreboard, but still, putting some nice moves together. You can see that their play is evolving and getting better. And again, they've recruited well. They've recruited well the last few seasons, and that's really helping them to just to make themselves more competitive and give themselves more chances to pick up points, which they have to do because, even though they have that 1 win, they're still down there near the foot of the table. So they definitely have to pick up another win soon, or at least a draw or something like that. The Lions, though, 3 wins out of 3, 2 really impressive games at home. And then they went to the Dragons and they won there as well at Rodney Parade. So, if they can do this now and win the first 4 of their season, you've got to start, taking them seriously as potential contenders for the title as well. Obviously, during the season, things can change. We've seen a lot, where you have an early bolter in the season and they fall away, but it doesn't mean that that's going to happen to the Lions. We've also seen teams sustain it through the season and also, where they've dipped down and come back as well. So, all those options are available to the Lions, but right now they're just on fire. And even though Zebre are competitive at home, I've got to go for a Lions win in that one. Okay, so on to next one then. It is the 2:45 kickoff, and this is the Hollywood Bet Sharks versus the Glasgow Warriors, and it's 14th versus 2nd, and it's at Hollywood Bet Kings Park. That's a bit of a mouthful. Name of that stadium. I wonder, did they have to extend whatever area is that they normally put the sign for the name of the stadium to actually fit the whole thing on, or do you just call it Kings Park and then have Hollywood Bets like what would you call it, like logo or whatever, somewhere there? I don't know, but yeah, Sharks versus Warriors. So Sharks, poor in the league last season, been poor so far this season as well. They've had 3 games, lost 2, and had the one win. I think the one win it was either against Dragons or Ospreys. Let me just double check who they actually beat. It was Dragons. They won 33-30 right at Rodney Parade. So just that one win, but they were competitive against Connacht in their opening game, and last time out not so competitive against Benetton, honestly. And I'm sure they're kind of chomping at the bit, to get going now at home as well. So first home game of the season for them, after like a mini tour up to Europe, and they're going to want to, as the Challenge Cup champions and a team that didn't deliver in this competition last season, going to want to show their best in front of their home fans, I think. But they're against Glasgow Warriors. For me, definitely one of the form teams in the league. Should be 4 from 4. They're 3 from 4 at the minute. Sharks are 1 from 3. Glasgow with that one blip, that loss against Ulster in the opening round, which definitely shouldn't have been a loss for my money. But it happened, so they can't kind of take that back. But they've gone from strength to strength since then, and some really impressive performances. Very easy win last time against Zebre, 33-3, and then they put like 50 odd points on Cardiff, even though they conceded 30 odd themselves. But still, you can see that they really are on it at the minute, and going to be a very hard team to beat, I think, because we talked about it before. They have in the forwards, they have the ability to grind you down. They have that amazing maul and the variation to it as well that almost, not necessarily guarantees tries, but you can almost guarantee they're going to score a try from it. It's so good. And then, in the backs as well, very slick moves. The centers both on fire at the minute, and they just feel like they're irresistible right now, and it's going to be difficult. Sharks at home, and I think also Glasgow, they did their mini tour last year. They had that kind of comeback against the Bulls where they got close but didn't win. But then they got to the final, and then they did deliver in that one, and they got the win down there. So they now have the experience of winning in South Africa. They're going to want to do it in the regular season as well. And given that, I think this is probably going to be a Glasgow win. But I expect that, the Sharks are definitely going to put some nice rugby together as well. I think in terms of if you're neutral and you just want to watch, some really good play and some decent tries, I think you wouldn't be doing too bad by tuning into this game. I think it's going to be a bit of a rip roar, maybe 30 odd points or more each in that one. If at least feels like that's the way it's going to be. Okay, so that's that one. Then on to 5 o'clock games. So this one is DHL Stormers versus Munster, and it is 16th versus 7th. It's at the DHL Stadium, and you're watching in Ireland is live on RTE as well. I guess it's time to plug the URC TV too. promise I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not sponsored by anyone. I don't think I ever be sponsored by anyone. But URC TV, I think, is an amazing deal. It's 50 odd euros, less than 60 euros for the entire season. And for that, you get every single game. So if you want to watch every single game, you'll absolutely do that. They're all up on the website there for you to watch. And for me, I watch at least 3 games a week. I try and watch more, but I watch at least 3 games a week. Normally, at least one live, and the other 2 then I'll pick up when I can, depending on work. But I try and get to watch 2 or 3 live per week, and then another game as well. And I try to also avoid the score lines if I can, which is, if you're working, it's kind of a bit easier than if you're home. But if I was home and had free time, I'd probably be watching the games anyway. So for me, it's fantastic, that I can get it. But even if you only wanted, let's say you're an Irish fan, Munster fan, or Connacht, or Ulster, Leinster, whoever, and you just want to watch your team, it's still a pretty good deal to see all of your team's games, either live or when you want to watch them yourself, and through the entire season, including the playoffs, the finals, etc. And obviously, whatever country you're from, you probably want to watch some of the other teams from your own country as well. Even if you don't have interest in watching, games between teams that aren't from your country, you're still going to get good value out of it. Anyway, back to this. So Stormers versus Munster. It's 16 versus 7. So Stormers, again, having a very poor start to the season. And, we look at the form book. Stormers, 2 losses and a win in the middle there. And, you look at them for the last few seasons, let's say the first 2 seasons, at least, of URC. Champions in the first season, then finalists in the second season as well. And then kind of last year dropped off a little bit, very poor start to the season. They did recover back to 5th in the table, but then they couldn't really progress in the knockout stages. The one win so far has been, that win against Zebre, 36 points to whatever it was, 7 or whatever, 5 or wherever Zebre got. And I just remember Zebre's try was really good. But yeah, not a brilliant start to the season for them. And, you think about it like they lost against Ospreys, right? Pretty sure. And then they lost against Ospreys in round 2, and then they lost against Edinburgh last week as well. So kind of teams looking for confidence. It seems like, the Stormers are a good team to play against. And Munster at the moment, I'd say they're kind of looking to restore a bit of confidence after that game against Leinster. Blitzed in the first 20 odd minutes or so of that game, did well to kind of come back a little bit, get themselves a couple of tries on the board, but didn't really put themselves anywhere near, threatening to come back really in that second half. They needed to get that extra try, and they weren't able to. Did hold Leinster scoreless for the second half, but when you're the team that's chasing the game, you want to do a little bit more than that, right? And they weren't able to do it. And it's kind of been a bit of a mixed bag this year, honestly, like kind of up and down. Opening win against Connacht, and I felt like that could have easily been a draw. I thought Connacht looked the smoother of the 2 teams in that one. Then that defeat against Zebre, and then they bounced back with it was a win against Ospreys, right? Pretty sure in round 3. Let me just double check that, but I'm pretty sure. 23-0 against Ospreys, and then a defeat against Leinster. So a bit up and down for them this year. I have to say the midfield is certainly looking better this year than it was last year. Kind of very unsettled in the midfield last year. But, one thing they'd be worried about is they picked up, a lot of injuries against Leinster, and like some of the players obviously will come back, but still for big test of their depth, and it's a big ask as well going down, to South Africa when they're not kind of firing on all cylinders. So for this one, it's really, really tough to pick, honestly. Like I'm going between one and the other in my head, and it's just like crazy, like a pendulum, just keeps swinging one way and the other. Because I can see merits, for backing either team to win this one. Obviously, Stormers at home, going to be a big G up for them. But then, Munster, the fact that, there are a lot of players in decent form for them, and Stormers haven't been in the best form, would maybe put you in mind of that as well. So I've got to make a decision, because my head is basically saying the Stormers are going to win it, but I'm going to go with my heart and say that it's going to be a Munster win. So we'll see how that works out. Okay, on to the next one then, and this is Edinburgh versus Cardiff Rugby, and it's a 5:15 kickoff in the Hive Stadium. It's 9th versus 6th. And you got Edinburgh there, who, not the best start to the season. Cardiff started off really well and then kind of have been going the opposite way, really. So Edinburgh, 3 losses to start the season, and then they had that win last time out against the Stormers, and a pretty decent win for them it was too. But, they looked fairly competitive against Leinster. I think that was their opener, right? And you look at, like, the rest of the season for them, who was it they played in the second round? Oh, yeah, away to the Bulls in the second round. Fairly competitive there, honestly. They got losing bonus points, decent, and then just got absolutely destroyed by the Lions in, the third round there. 55 points to 21. You look at that and you think, oh, it's a high scoring game, like, but you have to remember Lions were at 48-0 at half time, like, and so Edinburgh had to produce something in that second half and get those 3 tries, but did well, honestly, to bounce back from that and then get their opening win of the season against the Stormers. 38-7, fairly comprehensive win for them there, but now you look at it and you think, okay, can they now get a second win? And it's probably a good time for them to play Cardiff, honestly, because Cardiff looked like they had confidence in the first couple of rounds. They started pretty well. Close game in the end against Zebre, I think it was, in the opening round, right? It was like 22 points to 17 in the first round, and then from there, then they go away to Scarlets and they win 24 points to 15. So thinking, not doing too bad. But then the game against Glasgow, like Glasgow put 50 odd points on them, even though Cardiff did score 36 points themselves. Still, you don't want to be conceding 50 odd points at home anytime at all. And then reverse against the Scarlets, they probably would have felt like, that they had their measure, having beaten them already once this season, but no, lost against them last time out, and really good performance, honestly, from Scarlets in that one. So when we look at it, Edinburgh, 1 from 4, and Cardiff 2 from 4. So one of these teams is definitely gonna get a bit of momentum out of this game, and the other team is going to be kind of scrambling for a bit more form, I think. But I'm going to back Edinburgh in this one, I think, because they even in defeat, apart from against the Lions where they're absent, they haven't looked too bad in their other 2 defeats, and they look pretty decent against the Stormers as well. So going to go for an Edinburgh win in that one. On to the next one then is Connacht versus Leinster. This is a 7:35 kickoff on Saturday. It's 5th versus 1st. It's at the Dexcom Stadium, and this is on TG Carr if you're watching in Ireland. So, looking at the form book, first of all, Connacht, 2 losses and 2 wins, and they've all been, fairly close. Like the first game, they lost 23-21, I think, against Munster. Then they had the win against the Sharks, which was like 36 points to 30, I think. And then the win again away to Ospreys, right? They won 24 points to 23, I think, like late penalty to win it for them, right? And then against Ulster, they lost 32 points to 27, although like they scored a penalty to get themselves back within the losing bonus point range as well. And that one, but still they were in the game, and they're ahead at times in that game as well. So all the games, within one score. And Leinster then, they haven't put in a 80 minutes performance yet this season. They've looked good in patches. They look good for the open 25 or so minutes against Munster. They had like some purple patches in their other games as well, where they seem to be able to just go up a gear when they need it and get the handling spot on to get their scores. But we haven't seen like a real dominant performance from them yet this season. And Dexcom is a tough place to go, especially this time of year where it's probably going to be wet. It's going to be very windy as well over there, and you've got to be on it. You've got to be up for it, and Connacht, I think, are going to give them a game, but I still think that Leinster, are going to pull off a win in that one. But probably another one where Connacht, it's going to be like a one score game, I feel, in that one. Okay, on to the next one then. And hang on, let me pull it up because I clicked away from it there. So the final game of the round then is Dragons versus Benetton. So, looking at this one, you've got Dragons with, they had that opening win against Ospreys, and then they lost 3 on the trot, so they're 1 from 4. Then Benetton had that draw against the Scarlets, and then they got the win last time out against, I'm pretty sure it was the Sharks, that they beat. Yeah, they beat Sharks 38 points to 10, right, last time out. So, 2 teams that, it would do wonders for the squad to win this one. They're both on 7 points. They're like 11th and 12th in the table. One of them, if they win, is going to, jump up definitely into, the top 10. Depending on how other results go, might even be into the top 8. And then the other one, with so many teams, 1 or 2 points below them, they could see themselves falling towards the foot of the table. So a big game for both of these, even though it's early on in the season. It, sometimes it can be games like this that really do kind of, either condemn a team's season or kickstart it as well. And both of these teams really need a bit of a kickstart for the season. Dragons, they've definitely been far more competitive this year, and something about all of the Welsh teams, other than the Ospreys, honestly, the rest of the Welsh teams have been far more competitive this year, and it's brilliant to see. Benetton, on the other hand, have not been as competitive as they were last season, and they really want to rectify that in this one. They did get that win last time out, but they've struggled, honestly, on their travels this year. We look at kind of their, when they've gone away, 42-10 loss against the Warriors in round 2. And then, at home to Leinster as well, they lost 35 points to 5 as well. So, that middle part of the season, not brilliant for them. So, gonna have to, step it up a little bit in this one, but so too, honestly, for the Dragons, because, although they're competitive against Leinster, they still lost 34 points to 6 in the second round. And then in the third round, they lost against, what has been so far this season a poor Sharks team, 33 points to 30 at home as well. So that's kind of, something that Benetton will look at, is that, it is possible, even if you're not in the best of form, to go to Rodney Parade and put up a decent score. So this is another tough one to call, honestly. And I'm gonna go for a Dragons win in that one. I think it's another one where I'm kind of going a little bit with my heart. My head is saying that Benetton are definitely, like, if you stack up performances over the last couple of seasons and kind of the rosters that the two teams have, Benetton definitely the better of the two. But I'm going to go for a Dragons win in that one. Okay, so that's the end of this one. Let me know your thoughts on, the games that are coming up and how you think the season is shaping up as well. I'll see you guys on the next one.